Dear you, I know exactly what you did just a few moments ago. You were scrolling through the endless, chaotic noise of the internet, or perhaps you were standing in a crowded room and you saw someone being completely, embarrassingly sincere. You saw someone openly declaring their absolute passion for a bizarre hobby, or someone trying desperately hard to build a dream, or someone posting a long, vulnerable paragraph about how much they love their life. And what did you do? You did not smile. You did not feel inspired. Instead, your lip curled into a tiny, almost imperceptible smirk. You rolled your eyes. You immediately thought of a sharp, sarcastic, perfectly witty comment to tear it down. You looked at their raw, unfiltered enthusiasm, and a cold, calculating voice inside your head whispered, "Look at how hard they are trying. How pathetic. How utterly, hilariously cringe. Welcome to the most devastating, completely invisible psychological prison of the year 2026. You are suffering from the terminal, suffocating epidemic of modern irony. You are entirely terrified of being caught caring about anything. Look at the incredibly sophisticated, bulletproof aesthetic of detachment you have built around your entire existence. You live in a terrifying, hyper-exposed digital culture that absolutely punishes vulnerability. You have watched millions of people get mocked, canceled, and humiliated simply because they dared to be earnest on a public stage. So, your brilliant, survival-driven brain made a devastating calculation. You decided that the only way to survive this era is to completely detach. You decided that the person who cares the least holds all the power. You have turned apathy into an art form. Let us be brutally, painfully honest about how this toxic detachment has completely infected your daily life. Look at the way you navigate modern romance. You are absolutely petrified of looking desperate. So you play an agonizing mathematical game of emotional chicken. You intentionally wait 3 hours to reply to a message just to prove you have other things to do. You suppress your genuine excitement when you see them. You use self-deprecating humor and heavy sarcasm to deflect any moment of actual, terrifying intimacy. You never look someone directly in the eyes and say, "I am absolutely terrified of losing you." Instead, you make a witty joke about how all relationships are doomed anyway. You beat them to the punchline. You are always the very first person to make fun of your own heart, just in case someone else was thinking about doing it. But do you realize how incredibly exhausting it is to constantly edit your own soul? I see the profound, agonizing emptiness that settles over you late at night. You are the coolest, most detached, most hilariously cynical person in the room. You have a witty comeback for absolutely everything. But when the laughter dies down and the screen goes dark, you are left completely, devastatingly alone with your own hollow chest. Because here is the tragic reality of living a purely ironic life. Irony is a brilliant shield, but it is a terrible, freezing home. You are actively starving yourself to death. You look at the people you mock, the people who are trying too hard, the people who are overly enthusiastic, the people who are failing miserably on a public stage. And behind your smirk, there is a massive, agonizing ocean of jealousy. You are desperately, secretly envious of them. Why? Because at least they are feeling something. At least they have the sheer, magnificent audacity to stand in the arena, sweat pouring down their face, and actually participate in the raw, messy experience of being a human being. You are sitting safely in the spectator stands, throwing popcorn at the gladiators, completely convinced that you are winning the game, but you are not winning. You are just completely, entirely numb. Think about your deepest, most secretly held dreams, the things you actually want to do with your one fleeting, incredibly fragile life. You refuse to give them 100% of your effort, don't you? Because if you try your absolute hardest and you pour your entire soul into a project and you still fail, that would completely destroy you. It would mean you were simply not good enough. So what do you do instead? You only give 40%. You treat your own ambitions like a massive inside joke. You say, I do not even care about this. I am just messing around. You preemptively sabotage your own magnificent potential just to protect your fragile ego from the sting of a genuine failure. You have built a massive fortress out of sarcasm, memes, and intellectual detachment. You are completely safe inside it. Nobody can ever accuse you of being naive. Nobody can ever make fun of you because you have already made fun of yourself. But the walls are closing in. The air is getting incredibly thin. You feel like you are suffocating under the weight of your own cool persona. You want to care. You want to scream from the rooftops about something you love. You want to weep openly at a beautiful piece of music without instantly making a joke to break the tension. You are so deeply, profoundly tired of playing it safe. You are dying to be wonderfully, embarrassingly, wildly sincere, but you are completely paralyzed by the fear of what the phantom audience will think of you. Take a deep, violent breath. I need you to physically drop your jaw right now. Unclench the muscles in your face. Stop the sarcastic thought before it even forms in your mind. Hold the breath in the center of your chest and let the heavy, magnificent silence wash over you. I am giving you the absolute, undeniable permission to drop the shield. Listen to my voice very carefully and Let this profound truth shatter the ice around your heart. Being cool is the most boring, cowardly, exhausting thing you can possibly be. Apathy is not a superpower. It is a tragic, self-inflicted spiritual coma. It is time to commit the most radical, punk rock, revolutionary act imaginable in the year 2026. You must aggressively, fiercely, and unapologetically reclaim your sincerity. I want you to stage a massive rebellion against your own detachment. Tomorrow morning, I want you to wake up and deliberately do something incredibly, beautifully earnest. Tell your friend exactly how much their existence means to you without adding a single joke at the end of the sentence to soften the blow. When you listen to a song that makes your chest ache, close your eyes and let the tears completely ruin your face. Yes, people might look at you strangely. People who are still trapped in their own ironic prisons might call you cringe. They might roll their eyes at your enthusiasm. Let them sit in the freezing, dark spectator stands while you step directly into the blazing, terrifying, magnificent sunlight of the arena. You must realize that your passion is not a liability. Your raw, unfiltered, embarrassing enthusiasm is the absolute core of your biological humanity. It is the exact frequency that the universe uses to create miracles. Every single great piece of art, every massive social change, every profound, earth-shattering love story was built by someone who was entirely willing to look like an absolute fool. You have to risk the humiliation. You have to risk the failure. You have to risk the awkward silence, because the alternative is living an entire 80-year existence without ever letting anyone know who you actually are. Forgive yourself for wearing the armor. You grew up in a cruel, highly surveyed digital world, and you were just trying to protect your soft, bleeding heart from the wolves. You did what you had to do to survive. But you are not a child anymore, and you are not in danger. You are a brilliant, massive, wildly capable adult, and your heart is strong enough to take the hit, drop the heavy burden of having to be untouchable. Let yourself be touched by the world. Let the beauty of this chaotic, terrifying, unpredictable life absolutely wreck you. Sincerity is the ultimate form of bravery. It is the only door that actually leads to the deep, profound, breathtaking connection your soul is starving for. You do not have to hide behind the punchline anymore. The joke is over. The curtain has fallen. It is time to step out of the shadows. Take a deep breath of the raw, unedited air, and let the world see how incredibly beautifully much you actually care. Now, open your eyes and let the fire burn.